The richest person on your street may not be the one with the newest car. It may not be the one with the biggest house, the designer watch, or the vacations that look perfect online. Real wealth is usually quieter than that. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need the world to believe anything. Because most people who look wealthy aren't actually rich. And most people who become truly rich spend years looking ordinary. This is the hidden truth inside The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko. A book that reveals how ordinary people build extraordinary financial independence. Not through luck, not through inheritance, not through looking successful, but through the quiet habits almost everyone else overlooks. This is Beyond the Books. Let's break down the system behind real wealth. Wealth is rarely what it appears to be. Most of us grow up thinking a millionaire should be easy to spot. The luxury car gliding down the street, the house with the iron gates, the tailored clothes, the expensive restaurants, the life that seems to say, "I made it." But the research behind The Millionaire Next Door revealed something surprising. Many millionaires don't look rich at all. They often live in ordinary neighborhoods, drive practical cars, avoid flashy purchases, and build wealth in ways so quiet that the people around them never notice. Because real wealth is not performance. Real wealth is ownership, autonomy, options, the ability to live without every decision being controlled by the next paycheck. Looking rich and being rich rarely live in the same house. Imagine two neighbors. One drives a brand-new luxury SUV, lives in a large home with perfect landscaping, dines out often, wears visible symbols of success. From the outside, he looks wealthy. Across the street is another neighbor. He drives a modest used sedan, lives in a comfortable but unremarkable home, tracks his spending, invests consistently, avoids status purchases. From the outside, he looks average. But statistically, the second neighbor is far more likely to be the true millionaire. The first is displaying success. The second is quietly building it. And this is the first major shift the book forces us to make. Income is not wealth. Income is what flows in. Wealth is what stays. High income is a river. Net worth is the reservoir. And if every dollar that flows in immediately flows back out, the reservoir never fills. This is why a high salary can become a trap. A doctor earning $400,000 a year can still feel broke. If that income is consumed by luxury cars, private schools, a massive mortgage, expensive vacations, and social pressure. Meanwhile, a small business owner earning far less can quietly become financially independent by living below their means and converting surplus income into assets. Same country, same economy, different system. One turns income into image. The other turns income into freedom. Social image ages fast. Assets age slowly. Stanley and Danko found that many millionaires are first-generation wealthy. They didn't inherit their fortune. They built it through patterns that sound almost boring. They live below their means. They allocate time and money efficiently. They care more about financial independence than displaying high social status. They choose practical homes, practical cars, and practical habits. They invest steadily. They avoid lifestyle inflation. And over time, those boring behaviors become powerful. Because wealth is not created by one dramatic decision. It is created by a repeated sequence. Frugality to savings, to investment, to compounding, to freedom. Each step feeds the next. Frugality creates surplus. Surplus creates investment capital. Investment capital compounds. Compounding creates independence. Now compare that to the opposite path. Consumption to debt, to obligation, to stress, to fragility. That path can look impressive from the outside, but inside, it is often fragile. The louder your life needs to look, the more pressure it usually takes to maintain. This is where The Millionaire Next Door becomes more than a finance book. It becomes a psychology book. Because the real battle is not just between saving and spending, it is between freedom and approval. Every dollar has a job. It can either work for your future, or it can perform for someone else's opinion. A dollar invested becomes a tiny employee. It works quietly. It produces. It grows. It sends back more dollars. But a dollar spent for status disappears. It gives you a moment of recognition, then leaves behind a new expectation to maintain. This is why the millionaire next door thinks differently. They don't ask, "How can I look successful?" They ask, "How can I become free?" The book gives this difference a name. PAWs and UAWs, prodigious accumulators of wealth and under-accumulators of wealth. The difference is not simply income. It is how much of that income gets retained, protected, and converted into net worth. A PAW turns earnings into capital. A UAW turns earnings into lifestyle. At first, the difference is hard to see. One skipped luxury purchase. One invested bonus. One used car instead of a new one. One smaller house than the bank said they could afford. Nothing dramatic, but over decades, the gap becomes enormous. Because compounding only works on retained capital. Money cannot compound if it is constantly being spent to prove you have it. Every dollar spent on appearance resets a small part of your wealth clock to zero. Environment matters too. Many millionaires design their lives to reduce temptation. They don't just rely on willpower. They reduce the pressure to spend. They often live in neighborhoods where fitting in does not require luxury. They avoid social circles built around comparison. They choose cars and homes that serve their life instead of inflating their image. This matters because spending is contagious. If everyone around you upgrades constantly, you start to feel behind even when you're doing well. A bigger house becomes normal. A newer car becomes expected. A more expensive lifestyle becomes the price of belonging. And slowly, wealth leaks away. Not because you made one terrible decision, but because your environment kept whispering, "More." Your surroundings quietly decide whether wealth sticks or slips away. There is also a family pattern hidden inside wealth. The first generation often builds through discipline. They remember scarcity. They understand effort. They know what it took to create the reservoir. But the second generation may inherit comfort without inheriting the habits that created it. If children grow up seeing spending without seeing discipline, they may learn consumption as normal and saving as optional. The first generation builds, the second performs, the third may have to start over. This is why wealth is not just financial, it is cultural, behavioral, emotional. A family either passes down habits of independence or habits of consumption. The moment wealth becomes a performance, the countdown to losing it begins. Now zoom out. The system becomes clear. Wealth is not a luxury car. It is not a salary. It is not a house that impresses strangers. Wealth is the gap between what you earn and what you need to spend to feel okay. The larger that gap, the more freedom you have. The smaller that gap, the more your life is controlled by obligations. This is why frugality is not deprivation. Frugality is power. It is the ability to say, "I do not need to convert every increase in income into an increase in lifestyle." It is the ability to let money remain in your life long enough to become useful. Frugality protects the reservoir, and the reservoir creates freedom. Society pushes in the opposite direction. Advertising teaches you to want. Social media teaches you to compare. Credit makes it easy to perform wealth before you have built it. The world rewards the appearance of success, more visibly than the reality of independence. So the millionaire next door becomes almost countercultural. They opt out quietly. They do not need the newest symbol. They do not need the loudest lifestyle. They do not need strangers to believe they are rich. They are too busy becoming free. Real wealth is often built in the same silence that social media mistakes for failure. And this is the final truth. Wealth is not an event. It is a pattern of retention, a pattern of restraint, a pattern of investing before displaying, a pattern of choosing independence over applause. Those who master the pattern quietly become the millionaire next door. Those who chase the image often spend their lives funding the illusion. Lasting wealth is built in private, by people who no longer need to prove they have it. Because wealth isn't built by what you show the world. It's built by the choices no one sees. Right now, choose one expense that exists mostly for appearance, not survival, not joy, not meaning. Appearance. Then ask yourself, what would happen if that money went toward freedom instead? A debt payment, an emergency fund, an investment account, a business. A future option you haven't even imagined yet. That one quiet shift is how the reservoir begins to fill. Comment Freedom Fund if you're choosing quiet wealth over loud spending. Like this video, subscribe to Beyond the Books, and tell us which book you want decoded next. Live quietly, build patiently, become free.